this is for the one who ain't never had a love, yeah. This one's for the girl who don't feel like she's enough, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This one's for the cool kid playing on the school team, crying to himself cause he never had the prom queen. Head full of wants, but they said it's just a pipe dream, yeah. This one's for the kids like me, they ain't never had one day. The ladies always turn their cheek, but they ain't let the fat ones sing. This one's for the kids like me, kept working when they had nothing. When people try to take their dreams, they stuck it to them, please don't change. For
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Alex Cuesta Show. How's everybody doing out there on this Wednesday, September 25th, 2024, episode 141? I'm Alex. David, for some reason, is still here. Hi, Dave.
I'm here. I am here. I've been on a horror movie kick. I was actually talking to Alex before this about a bunch of ones I've been watching. So,
Yeah, you've been, and maybe one day we'll talk about those, but not today.
oh, maybe one day.
But overall, we appreciate everyone for being here. I am just finishing dying of COVID last few days. It really hasn't been that bad. Little, head cold, some stuff like that. Anyone listens to my other podcast, we go live on Mondays, talk track and field, talking in ovals. But if you catch that, it's Mondays, 9:00, by the way. Go watch it. But if you like track, I was dead over there. I sounded like absolute dog shit. But everything's better. But be quiet, Dave. But everything is better. We're all doing good here. And we're excited to have everyone with us. We have to celebrate today. We hit over 100 subscribers on YouTube. We're up to 101 right now. For a small show like us and everything like that, that means the world.
Growth is growth. Thank you.
Growth is growth. We absolutely appreciate every single one of you subscribed. And we hope to keep growing because we keep having, we keep bringing on some great guests. And I think we have some awesome conversations here. And, sometimes it's harder to grow when you're as varied as we are. We don't stick to one thing. We don't just do politics. We don't just do sports. We don't just do nerd culture. We do a little bit of everything. So if you like that, if you like getting a little bit of everything, keep on subscribing. We appreciate that. Comments, likes, all that good stuff always helps. Over on X, give us a follow, repost, all that stuff. And on Facebook, go over there and follow our page there. We appreciate all of that. So last week's show, we had on Tina Deskovich, co-founder of Moms for Liberty, and we had fun talking to her. We held her past her bedtime, and it was okay because she's awesome. And we talked about all the things that they're doing with Moms for Liberty, and they do amazing things over there, fighting for kids and making sure that kids in schools aren't getting fed the bullshit that we see them continually get fed. And she's important. Go back and watch that and support Moms for Liberty. We're starting that campaign. If you're a Trump supporter, go and send $1 to Moms for Liberty, because if every single person voting for Donald Trump just sent $1 to Moms for Liberty, they'd have millions in their war chest to win the battle at the schools for your kids. So if you have kids, definitely go support them. It's important. So this week's show, we're having on a repeat guest, and we're excited because it's been a year and a half about since we've had him on, maybe a little bit more. He was nice enough to jump on back then, and we were fanboying a little bit. But this is the best way to bring him in, though, because he is the leader of the Normal Men. So in his honor, we're bringing him in this way.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
He is Stuttering Craig, the host of Side Scrollers Podcast. What's up, Craig?
Glad to be here, boys. Dave, serious question for you.
Yeah.
When was the last time you used AOL?
Oh, a long time. I was very young when we had AOL in the
house. Did you actually have it? Were you around when we had it?
Yes. I used AIM all the time. Used AIM Messenger all the time. I was on AOL. So I used it. We still had it when I was young, but
he doesn't know the origin of the nickname. So Craig, we had on James and Kay from Melee Games a little while ago. Mm-hmm. And during that stream, Dave's internet out in the podunk of West Virginia decided it just didn't want to do anything, and it kept on skipping. So James, in the very James way, started calling him AOL Dave. And since then, that is officially his name, and I think it's merited.
Yeah, love it. Love everything about it. Listen, we all have AOL dial-up internet every once in a while, and I am included in that for sure. So, but good to hang out with you boys.
Yeah,
Good
we
to have you.
appreciate it. And it's funny. So last time you were on the show, it is kind of you were coming back out from, coming out the closet. No, I'm kidding. Coming back out from pseudo, not retirement,
You
but
don't have to
getting
bring up the
taken
Gyllenhaal
away.
stuff yet. Okay, come on.
Not
Right,
the Gyllenhaal
right.
stuff yet. We'll get some pictures of Jake up here, shirtless from Roadhouse, just for Craig.
I believe
But you were just, you took a little break. Screw Attack and all that stuff went on and everything, and you took a little break, and you were coming back in full force. And we had that show. We talked about the nostalgia stuff, and then post show, we can share now that you shared a little inside baseball. That you showed us this badass clip. You shared your screen of basically side scrollers, the logo, and it wasn't the newer one with the SS, just
Mhm.
side scrollers rolling up, and we were pumped.
Yeah.
And then you started side scrollers, and since then, dude, it has taken off. And I just want to congratulate you on all the freaking success from that show. Dave and I are regular listeners. I get most of my gaming news from there, and G and Melee and things like that. But
Mhm.
first off, I want to start off congratulating you because it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's been a good run so far. We who'd have thought just by telling people that they're normal that it would resonate with people, and just
You're a
saying, hey,
bigot.
yeah, you're not insane. Yes, that is crazy what you're looking at. You're normal, and that's how things have always been. And it's been really good, and we got a really great thing moving right now. We've been grinding. We have not missed a show since we launched, but this next week we're taking our first break, and then the YouTube algorithm will forget about us, and we will see a massive drop in everything.
Yeah.
and that'll be the last you heard of side scrollers. It'll be great.
You could say it's been a crunch, right? Because it's a passion project for now.
Yes, this is a passion project right now. Some may accuse us later in like 10 years. I'll be like, it was a major crunch, and that boss, he was a horrible.
Yeah.
Damn it, Blabs.
Yeah.
Speaking of Blabs,
Real
shout out to
slave
Blabs.
driver, man. She's a slave driver. It's crazy.
We
Can
hope
you say slave driver? Yes, of course you can say slave driver. You
whatever
can.
the fuck we want here, okay? But yeah, Blabs, we give a shout out to her. She's awesome over there as well.
She is
doing
great.
her thing.
Hope she feels
Hopefully
better.
you feel better, Blabs. Stop
Mhm.
dying. But
Yeah.
I want to give you a chance though to
Mhm.
step away from Game World for a second
Okay.
because you're also a sports fan.
I like
And on this
sports.
show, we
And
talk
I
a
don't
little
care
bit-
who knows. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you are a basketball fan, baseball. Do you like football at all?
I do.
Do you? Who's your favorite football team?
Well, I live in Dallas. So naturally in Dallas, like it's one of those things where when the Cowboys are successful, then everybody feels better, right? But when they fail, and the entire town has this like cloud over it, right?
Mhm.
So with that said, I'm a big fan of the Denver Broncos. No, I'm just kidding. No.
I was gonna say, wait a minute.
No. I watch all the Cowboys games, obviously, but I just like football. Football's awesome.
Yeah, football's great. We're Jets fans, obviously. I'm throwing it up here.
Unfortunately.
So
Well,
you
this
saying
year-
Denver was actually pretty funny considering we're playing them this weekend.
Oh yeah.
So, let's just talk a little sports real quick. Let's jump into a pull a little J. Let's talk sports. But what have you seen from Dallas? Obviously, the Stars had a freaking great run. The Rangers have been doing fantastic. What is your outlook right now on Dallas sports going forward and things like that? Are you guys going to continue to kick ass and everything going on?
Nice. I didn't know we were going to the sports talk.
Hell
tonight.
yeah, let's get in there. Dave and I are
Let's
huge
do it.
sports fans.
So Rangers take a step back this year. You can't really not take a step back after you win a title, right?
Yeah.
So that was pretty awesome last year. But I think they'll be back next year. They're an older team. They were injured this year. Several of their key players got hurt. I think they'll compete next year for a division title or wild card spot. The Stars are going to be a powerhouse this year again. Stars are phenomenal, great hockey team. The Mavericks are going to be super fun to watch. Breaking news. I got season tickets to the Mavericks this year.
Hey,
Oh, let's
there you
go.
Let's go.
Hey, 300 level. Not here. All the way up here, baby.
Where
That's
the
right.
true fans sit, baby. Where the
Yep,
true
that's
fans
right.
sit. That's
Yep.
a dedicated few.
Yep,
That's
still
freaking
there.
awesome, man.
It's going to be great. So I got a half season. I got a half season package to the Mavericks. So, it was one of those things where it was like, all right, we'll make the jump because it should be fun. And if nothing else, I'll be able to sell the tickets because they have a lot. I'll be able to make my money back hopefully.
So
But
what do you think of Kyrie over there? Because I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan. David's a Brooklyn Nets fan. So we went through our Kyrie Irving saga.
yeah.
I
think
I like Kyrie.
To be fair, I don't hate Kai.
I don't hate Kai at all.
Amazing to watch play.
Dave and I are friends with Brandon Scoopy Robinson, who's an NBA insider, and he knows Kyrie Irving pretty damn well. And you know, I don't hate Kai at all. I think he's actually one of the best basketball players we've ever seen in the history of the game with his ball handling. And him and Luka together are just ridiculous. How do you feel about Kai over there? Because he's a guy that stirs up controversy.
Well, so I think Kai got done dirty really bad in New Jersey, mainly by the media. I think the media really screwed him over, and you know, like. What he said during COVID, he's like, you should probably be able to make your own decision, right? And people were like, what are you talking about? Right?
Yeah.
And
can't say that in the tri-state area, man.
Right.
It's not going to work out.
No.
So, you know, it was extremely controversial. But yeah, I'll tell you what, I went to a couple games last year, and Kyrie Irving makes the most insane basketball plays every time down the court. I watched a play where he drove baseline with his left hand, and then got into the lane, but before he went up, just did this baby little dribble from his left to his right.
Yep.
And if you don't know what you're looking at, it just looks like he's playing basketball.
So
yeah, I played slam ball.
Basically, almost professional, but not basketball.
Right? Yeah, almost professional trampoline. It was good.
Yes.
It still works.
So you're a good basketball player, though.
I was pretty decent, right? And I still am at my old age. But with that said, he does this spectacular, and he makes it look normal. And Kyrie Irving is one of the best ball handlers we've ever seen, coupled with obviously Luka, who is one of the biggest complainers, while also being one of the I've taken a lot as I've gotten older and gotten considerably less fast and quick. I've taken a lot of Luka's game and tried to bring it into mine. And you know what? When you're old, it works. It's amazing,
spacing, man.
Yeah.
It's all spacing.
It's all spacing where you put your body as opposed to them. It's like Luka, but he just
Windhurst whipped into him though. Windhurst was it Windhurst that ripped into him last year? Do you think Luka clamps down on defense this year? Because I mean, it's got to be he's got to thought about it.
Yeah, I think Luka is 1 or 2 for MVP this year. I think he's going to go hard, and especially with he's going to have 3 or 4 more assists a game this year, passing to Klay Thompson this year for threes in the corner.
I forgot about
so
that.
Klay revenge tour is starting.
Yep, and with Klay Thompson and the guy they picked up from New Orleans, that they picked him up and they let go of Derrick Jones Jr., who went to the Clippers. I think his name's Najee. I think his name, but. Everything that everyone's talked about with this dude, he's like the ultimate glue team player, strong defender. So I'm excited to watch the Mavericks this year. I think they take a step back too, because I think that ultimately, I think they'll compete, but it's very hard to get to the NBA Finals.
Oh,
so especially through a
only
loaded
2
West.
teams get there.
right. So and let's see, there was and then the Cowboys. The Cowboys this year they started off really strong, right? And the last 2 games have been like poop in a cup. It's been really hard to watch.
They had 7 bad quarters and 1 good quarter the last 2 games. So it's like maybe, and my wife's a Cowboys fan, so we watch all the games. We have Sunday ticket, and she's looking at it going, "Can we just do this? Can we just do this?" And maybe that last quarter will wake them up because they almost won.
Right?
They could have won that game. So maybe it wakes them up, and they have this spell at the beginning of the year every year lately with the Cowboys. They'll have a stinker or 2, and then they'll rip off 8 games in a row. So let's hope. I think they play the Giants this week, so that might be the remedy. That might be the remedy to play the Giants. So.
Yeah, on Thursday, which I just found out. I didn't know they were on Thursday Night Football this week. So yeah, they're on Thursday Night Football, and that'll be interesting to see their response because the Giants suck. So they should roll through them pretty good.
You just have to cover Malik Neighbors, and you're good.
Well,
I cover Malik Neighbors. That's it.
I have a question.
I might have an answer.
Who is Malik Neighbors?
One of the best young wide receivers in the NFL.
Rookie wide receiver for the Giants, who's damn good.
He has a chance of being rookie of the year. Like he's
really the only big weapon they have.
Okay, so yes, you cover Malik Neighbors, and then you win the football game.
That was Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, and outside of, it's one of those things where you hear about these like rookies in your town, and they're like they're going to be the MVP or they're going to be the rookie of the year or whatever. But outside of your market, like people have no idea who they are, right?
Yep.
So and New York's obviously a major market, so they get a little bit more play nationally than most teams. But it's just one of those things. So, but yeah, I think Dallas sports is in a great position. Now give it 3 years. I think 3 years is when pretty much the Maverick. They have a 3-year window.
Yeah.
They signed Clay for 3 years. They got Kyrie and Luka for 3 more years. And then it's back to the rebuilding. So we could have a nice 3 years here for the Mavericks. And like I said, the Stars have been spectacular the last few years. And I like going to Stars games more than I like going to any other game. Stars games.
Hockey's the funnest. Hockey is, basketball's fun because you see a bunch of giant humans and you can't tell how big they are on TV. But then when you go person, just to see how fast even the centers are moving, they look slow on TV. When you see it in person, they are flying up and down the court. So it's just a different thing when you're watching them live in basketball. The screen doesn't do it justice. But hockey, man, you everywhere you look, something's going on. It's so much fun. It's so fast paced.
Agreed. 100%.
So it's lots of fun. I figured, Craig, this is actually Dave's idea to give you a little bit of break from,
gaming. Talk gaming all the time.
All that gaming stuff.
I legit, I wanted to, I've been wanting to do a sports show for a long time. I've been wanting to do a wrestling show for a long time. It just comes down to like time.
Yeah.
We don't have
You're
time.
doing so much with the gaming space. And the thing is, like, you started a war that I don't think you ever wanted to start.
No,
but it's like you gotta finish it at this point. Like you are like the vanguard right now of like, because G&G does a good job of talking about the news and things like that. And they do a lot of great things at the meetups and stuff. But you're actually sitting there and doing a shit ton of stuff with taking it to, the game journalists and the game devs and things like that. And like the group that you're building up between like Smash JT and Grums and things like that. And, you bring on Savvy and stuff. And these are people that are also at the forefront that want to do, Savvy is going to murder every localizer of all time. Like that's going to happen. Like, so it's like you guys are just doing stuff as the vanguard. And so, yeah, maybe in about 6 or 7 years when gaming is fixed, then you can go and do all your little, but then again,
whole new culture
WWE
and every other thing.
Yeah. It's funny. I've said this many times. I've said this a few times. But nothing would make me happier than to not have to do side scrollers. Because we're doing side scrollers, and side scrollers, to be clear, when we initially launched side scrollers, we had no intentions of getting involved with all this stuff. It was like, hey, we're going to do gaming, it's going to be fun. But I looked at just where things were at, and it's like, are you serious? Like, did things get this bad this quick? And the answer was, yeah, it got that bad that quick. And people were like, what? It's not like the old show. And my response to that is like, it actually is exactly like the old show. The difference is that you have changed. The old show back when we started side scrollers in 2006 and ran through 2013, that show, we did the exact same thing. We talked video game news and we laughed at stupid stuff. That is what we do today on the show. It's just a different format and it's every day because there's so much batshit insane stuff that's happening on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. So thank you, internet. Thank you, video game industry, for being an insane place to talk about. So yeah, it's been fun. And and to be clear, don't forget about Melee as well. I see Melee's in the chat. And
I was actually about to go through real quick to say hi to some of the people. Tochi, what's up? Nate G is our resident super fan. We always appreciate Nate. He's here every single week with us. We love Nate.
Let's go, Nate.
H is for hedonism. Craig sent me. Yes, thank you. Goji the King, normal man here. Goji, we're all just normal men. Who else we got? Flame Age. What's going on, Flame Age? Tochi, that's Craig's WWF info intro. Yes.
You didn't actually say anything about K. Come on.
I will. I'm getting to K.
You're in our live streams all the time.
I am. I'm always in there. H is for hedonism. He still has an AOL disc somewhere, 10 free hours. Let's get that loaded up. Leo Sage 45. Hi, Craig. And then pause. I think you said that with my coming out the closet comment. H for hedonism said, not going to do the guest host thing. Listen. Craig's his own man, okay? We don't want to invade the side scrollers YouTube over there. That would be mean. Nate G, go Stars. Goji the King. Stars belong in Minnesota, just like the Supersonics belong in Seattle. Nate G, Stars at night, big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. I guess that's a song. Yes. Melee K, what's up, lads? How's it going, Melee? And she said hi to Flame Age. Let's see, what else do we got? I'm going to run through any new ones that we have popping in. I don't see anyone else. Will continue to try and keep up on that. Melee, man, there's not enough time in the day. Wrestling alone can consume a whole life. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. So thanks, everyone, for the comments. We appreciate it, as always. Let's get in to some heavy gaming news and stuff. All right. So first things first, I do want to give a shout out to your locals page. Real quick, I'm doing it for you because you guys have a badass documentary, the Golden Era documentary there for your subscribers there. Kind of, I want to give you a chance to talk about what that is right there.
Yeah, so we have our locals page. You can go to sidescrollerspodcast.com or sidescrollers.locals.com. Sidescrollerspodcast.com is a little easier to say, so that's what we say.
Gotcha.
But yeah, my goal is to build something that is completely off of YouTube. That is, as you can see right there, it offers a little bit more than just your. Yes, we'll have extra content. We definitely plan on doing some stuff, but I want to offer some documentaries. I want to add more value to the support that people provide us. We have some other really interesting things coming that I haven't seen anybody do, and that's my goal is to provide the best value for your support. And we're going to do this over here on the locals page. So yeah, it's been great. We crossed 100 supporters over there. I think we're actually at 111 supporters as of today.
That's awesome.
I think where we can really start doing some really amazing things is when we get to, we're definitely going to do a subscriber drive here sooner than later. We also are very, very conscious that times are tight in America right now and that money is short. So we're trying to be very mindful of that. But we also want to be able to continue to do the show and really make an impact in the gaming space as best as possible. So the locals page is the best place to do that. Obviously, there's a barrier of entry because you got to click to go off YouTube, and most people do watch us on YouTube. So I want to make sure that if people do click off, they get value for what they're offering and their support to us. So yeah, man, it's been really, really good, and I think that locals is a really, really strong platform. I mean, I was telling our rep over there that if I was to build a website like locals, it would probably cost about $100,000. Yeah. There's a really strong tool set there. And, I looked at that. I was like, how much would it cost to build a website? And then I was like, oh, locals is awesome. So I didn't realize how great it was until I really started digging into it. I think the thing that locals, the worst thing about locals is their branding. It sounds like a dating site.
Yeah.
So
it really does.
So, that's why we always say go to sidescrollerspodcast.com instead of, because it does sound like it's going to be like the next Hinge or something or whatever. So
that would, yeah, I mean, I do like that they decided not to go with like the typical like freedom pages like that a lot of places would go with. And then that at least locals, as much as it sounds like a dating site, kind of opens them up for anybody can use this, which I think is always lost on, I guess, like alternative or conservative areas is they go with like the, flag wearing website. And it's like, we get it. But now you're alienating a bunch of leftists that maybe just want to use your product. If it is a superior product, they'll come use it. So, I do like that. But yeah, maybe they need to change it to something a little less date sitey. So, yeah. Let's jump into where I want to talk about some console stuff.
Okay.
You had Arch today, and I know Arch is PC Master Race, so we won't allow him to comment on this. But the consoles, let's talk about first the PS5. The PS5 came out with their announcement for the PS5 Pro. Now, the first thing that we want to talk about is that price range.
Yep.
$799. $800.
$699.
$699. I thought it was $799.
You're reading the wrong thing.
Okay, I don't read. $699. So $700. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I can't read. $700 for a system, number one, is batshit. That is first thing. But when you get a system, you're like, all right, at least I can buy my games, download the ones that I want, but have some games and put them in. No, you cannot. This is a fully digital gaming system where you can then, on the side, buy the disc drive if you want, which I think is another $80. Craig, is this going to bomb, or are there enough Sony fanboys that are going to at least keep this afloat? And man, it's a day before my birthday they drop it. That's not nice.
Well, so to answer your question, it's already not bombing. The digital version, you got to buy the extra disc drive, and the disc drives are being sold out now. Is that scalpers or is that actual PlayStation fanboys? I don't know. But yeah, this is going to work because there's nothing to compete against it, right? And really, what you're buying here is minimal at best. You're buying we've described it as like a DLC skin for your console, right? you got a new console, new skin, and the upgrades from a graphical standpoint are marginal at best. So what are you buying? I don't quite know. Would I buy one? No. Will literally millions of people buy them? Yes. So I personally, I'm looking forward to whatever Nintendo announces next. I have got grand hopes for that. And we've talked about this many times on the show. I mean, like at the end of the day, Sony and Microsoft, they're more or less the exact same thing at this point, right?
Yeah.
I think we all can agree on that. Whereas Nintendo is its own thing, and I appreciate that. So for me, you're going to find there are the exceptions. Astrobot, it's awesome. Looks spectacular. I haven't had a chance to play it, but God, every time
it looks really good.
I watched, speaking of Melee, I watched Melee James and Melee K both play that game on their live stream, and there is a level where there's a tree that sinks to you to get in its mouth.
Love it.
And then it starts going, oh. It is a fantastic level.
Love it. Love it.
It's amazing.
Never seen it. Want to see it. Probably want to buy the game just because you said that. Right. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, it just seems like this is just the more of the movement towards digital everything, especially in the gaming space. And
own nothing and be happy.
Well, maybe that's part of it, but also, but it's digital everything. Every game company is going towards it. Microsoft is basically bowed out of the console wars. And like you said, Nintendo seems to be the only one that wants to actually try to keep physical media as a thing. And maybe couch gameplay is a thing. Local co-op where you're just sitting down and having a good time.
Yeah, Nintendo is I think it's one of those companies that, while Sony has been around for 30 years and Nintendo's been around for obviously 135 years, but in the video game space, it's been around since the early 80s, right?
Yeah.
Well, the one thing that Nintendo has done just so exceptionally well is they've created a relationship with their characters. Definitely. And that is something that Sony has not been able to capture and Microsoft has not been able to capture. Now, Microsoft had a little bit of that 17 years ago when they released Halo 3.
Yep.
But when you look at what Nintendo offers, I've said this multiple times, many times, but whereas Sony and Xbox, they make video games, Nintendo makes Nintendo games.
Yes. And
Nintendo games are different. They feel different. And I know that I sound like I'm a fanboy, and you know what? I probably am. But when Nintendo makes Nintendo games, you buy a Nintendo console to play Nintendo games. This idea that Nintendo has to be the strongest, the best, the fastest loading, the best graphics is non-existent. It doesn't matter because Nintendo does its own things. And when you look at the top 35 games that are sold for the Nintendo Switch, 34 of them are Nintendo games. They're first-party IPs. So I don't care. The Switch player doesn't care about Grand Theft Auto. They don't care about Call of Duty. They care about Mario and Zelda and playing the new game coming out with Zelda tomorrow. That's they care about.
Yeah.
So
looks great.
So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. And going back to like the original PlayStation side of things, will people buy it? Yeah, absolutely. Well, am I going to save my money? Yes, 1000%.
Me too. And I'm a PlayStation guy. Like I had all of my consoles. Like I went from Sega to PlayStation 1. I got the PlayStation 1 Slim, the little guy, and then I got the 2, the 3, the 4, and that's kind of where I stopped because a lot of things changed in my life. I had kids and everything. I didn't have as much time. Podcasting took more time, and that kind of became my love. I've reconnected my PlayStation 4 recently, and I told James and Kay this. I'm telling you, this is your fault because I've been listening to so much more gaming news and things like that. I wanted to get my kids into it more, and I saw that they had the Crash Insane Trilogy with CTR Nitro Edition for $28. So I grabbed it instead of the 75. So I downloaded that. Now my kids are playing CTR and Crash.
Nice.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
But it's crazy to see what has come with the console wars, right? Because like at first, Nintendo's always done its own thing. And they've always been the ones that have been willing to push the envelope and do something different. And then when it's successful, PlayStation and Xbox, I feel like try to follow suit and fail, right? Like when the Wii came out, both of them tried to do their own little hand thing,
PlayStation move,
microphone looking palm thing. The Xbox had a shot with the Kinect, but it was still too wonky, right? It didn't work great. And it's like Nintendo, you said this before, they just do what they want to do. And I know we get so mad about their gatekeeping. We get angry about like when they sue people over the smallest things, or they put copyrights and they take things down. But I think that's also what keeps it the way it is.
That's the craziest thing.
It's so much. And sorry, Dave, real quick, but I think that's also why we're able to see a legitimately successful Mario movie, because the creators and Nintendo are not going to let the same people that do this shit to everything else that we love do it to their things. Pokemon, Detective Pikachu was absolutely fantastic because Game Freak and Nintendo are not going to let them screw with Pokemon. And
Pokemon's a different story game-wise, but we won't talk about that.
But just it's still a Nintendo. Nintendo does have part ownership in that. So
and real quick though, because like I feel like there's a huge difference here in how they go about their business side and their gaming side. Because Nintendo as a business, shrewd, really corporatist. They're just suing Power World. In fact, I'm going to bring that up and share that. But they're allow their mainline games to be as creative as possible. Like when it comes to Nintendo, creativity is what they want. Just do whatever you can to make the game as good as possible. Doesn't matter how insane it sounds. When every other game that comes out that's AAA, that's not like Nintendo, seems so vanilla. See, they always have a big green forest that looks great that you can walk around in, but the game is almost soulless at times. When Nintendo just has life in it, and it has a certain aesthetic, and it has something that ties all those games together from start to finish.
And you just look real quick at like Zelda Breath of the Wild, right? That came out not too long after Skyrim and stuff like that, and like the gorgeous graphics. And we all looked at it and we're like, this is beautiful for Zelda and for what Nintendo does. Like, these are the best graphics we've seen for them. And we didn't compare it to anything else. I think that Nintendo has that, where no one compares Nintendo to PlayStation or Xbox. They compare it to past Nintendo. So
right. And I think the same reason why we love Nintendo is also the reason why we hate Nintendo. It is their quality control, right? Yes. They're the same reason why we look at them suing Power World and we're like, what are you doing? Is the same reason we go, or Pokemon, you know, and clap like
terrible games that they're putting out lately.
Right. So I think if I was to put, I mean, Nintendo's clearly won this console generation, easily, right? Just based solely off sales figures, right?
Hilarious.
But this has been a really interesting run for Nintendo, and seeing where Xbox is saying, oh, and Xbox and Microsoft, they're moving away from digital, and Nintendo's like, no, we're cool. Let's hold this digital thing, which I think ultimately will endear them more to fans.
Now, if I'm PlayStation, I was saying this earlier today before you jumped in, would you not come out with another PSP, almost the same size as the Switch? And I know Astrobot hasn't been the most financially successful, but it's the closest thing they've had to a mascot since Crash Bandicoot in my eyes.
Yeah.
Why would you not pump out a PSP with an Astrobot port and just get this in the hands of as many kids? Because, the portables, and the reason why the Switch is great is because as many young kids as adults are playing it. The PSP had that as well. I couldn't tell you how many kids growing up, once that came out, even when I'm in college, kids would just pull out their PSPs randomly and just start playing whatever, because it had good enough graphics to play most PlayStation 3 games.
Right.
Why not just upgrade that now and use Astrobot? Because I feel like they could sit there and, are they going to make a real dent in the Switch? No. But is it going to make them money if they could sit there and put a handheld out with PlayStation graphics and some PlayStation games, and you can walk around now playing Call of Duty 6 anywhere? That to me is like a logical thing, seeing the success of the Switch.
Well, Xbox has gone out and pretty much confirmed that they're going to get in the handheld business in the next little bit. They've started using it in their marketing materials. As far as PlayStation goes, they do technically have a mobile device now. I don't even remember what it's called, but I don't know. I don't think you can do one or the other. I think you have to go the hybrid route that Nintendo has done, where you plug it into the TV and you can play it on the go. And I think Nintendo was so ahead of the game when
they always are.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll say this about Nintendo: they take chances, and sometimes they're too far ahead of the game. Go back 35 years. What was happening with VR, or 30 years ago with the virtual reality. They were trying to get virtual reality out the door 30 years ago. You know, a good 20 years before Facebook caught on to the trend, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, they take chances, and the beautiful thing about that company is they have such a ridiculous amount of money that they can fail countless amount of times and still strike gold one time and make it. I remember seeing a stat a few years ago, something along the lines of like Nintendo could not, if you removed all interest, if they like had no investments, if they just took the money in the bank that they had, it was like Nintendo could operate for 112 years and then go out of business.
They're the Wayne Gretzky of gaming. You take away all of his goals, and he still has more points than anyone that's ever played the game.
Right.
Like it's like they are the Wayne Gretzky of gaming.
Right.
So yeah, that's amazing. That's crazy. Nintendo's been so successful. So speaking of that, let's talk about where gaming is right now as we sit September 25th. Let's talk about some of the highs this year. What have been some of your favorite things so far this year, gaming wise, that you have seen?
I think Astrobot has certainly been the biggest surprise for me. You know, I really didn't follow the game until about a week before it was released. It was just one of those things. Oh, it's the Astrobot. Okay, cool.
Yeah, they're streaming, and I'm like, I'll watch and see, and it's awesome.
Right, and then they're doing a control. Then they're doing a controller. Cool, that's great.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about Sony all the time, but you know, obviously, I'm looking forward to playing the new Nintendo game for sure. The new Zelda game. I'm sorry, the new Nintendo game. Echoes tomorrow. Definitely check that out. You know, I'm playing a game right now, which is so stupid. It's a little indie title that I'm playing on my Switch called Bzzzt, and it's BZZT.
Yeah.
And it's just this little 2D action platformer that kind of plays kind of like Celeste, if you would, you know.
Yes,
and
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and
already
it's you know, it doesn't have any like the metaphors or allegories or whatever. You know, but it's just like these tiny little levels, and I'm really enjoying just playing that. I did enjoy playing Power World. Yeah, I've never really gotten into those games, that type of game. But I played Power World for a short time and did enjoy that. Did the Helldivers thing, enjoyed that. Haven't had a chance to play Wukong yet, or Stellar Blade. So, but I don't feel like I need to play them, if that makes sense. Because I feel like I know how they play. Just by watching them, right? I feel like I played that game before. So I think there's, you know, we talk about a lot of the bad, a lot of the insanity happening in the industry on the show, but I do think it's really important to talk about the positive things that are happening in the industry, and look at it that way, because there are things to highlight, and because there has been positive things, which I look forward to, you know, learning more about them as more positive comes. Hopefully, we see a lot more in the next couple months as we finish.
Maybe that could be a fun segment on the show if you just like once a week, like follow up Clown World with Good in Gaming, like just so you guys can like talk. Like it could be like the palate cleanser of gaming week. Like we talked about all the shit going on. We ragged on Ubisoft for 5 days straight. Now let's come back and
so
let's
easy. It's so easy. Like Ubisoft does it to themselves. They do it to themselves.
Oh my God, Ubisoft. And you know what? It's there, but I digress with Ubisoft. We might touch on them in a little bit. Melee K is hyped for Zelda as well. She has it preloaded on her Switch for when it's unlocked in 3 hours.
Let's go.
Everybody, make sure that you subscribe to Melee Games, because in 3 hours, I guarantee Kay will be streaming Zelda from the Melee Games YouTube. So we love Melee Games. Go to their YouTube, search Melee Games, subscribe there. You'll probably watch them stream. I almost guarantee it. But so that's the good this year. Now, there's been a lot of lows that you have touched on, but let's just talk about the lowest of lows. And I know probably the first two that you're going to go to would have been your lowest of lows.
Well, I mean, it's obviously Concord, right? Concord's the biggest low of all time.
Worse than ET?
Well, yeah. Oh, with 100%. Yes.
How can it be? Look at how beautiful it is.
Okay. Well, listen, I think that's worthy having a discussion for, right? But here's the thing that people don't read. Like ET was made by one guy and like 3 weeks.
I could never get out of the hole. When I was a kid, I fell in the hole at the beginning. I never got out.
Concord had a credit sequence of 36 minutes. Like I'm just saying that you could beat ET faster than you could watch Concord's credits. So I understand the idea that ET quote unquote caused the video game crash of '83. That was only in the United States. Like, did it lose $500 million for one company? You know, so Concord obviously the biggest one, and Ubisoft is obviously just as a company number two. I've always looked at Ubisoft as like a C+ player in the video game space. Now, I think internally within the video game space, they think of themselves as like a B+ player or an A- player, right? But they've had their hits, but for the most part, there's been a lot of like shovelware when you think of like Just Dance and things like things like that. They had their IPs and they work and they made their money that way. But to have so many successive misses in a single year, I mean, even playing the law of averages, you'd be like, oh, one of them's going to hit. And I'm sure that's what they're hoping for.
And I'll go on a limb and say Assassin's Creed is a pretty boring game. 1 and 2 had a good story, the premise, getting the blade, your finger cut off, and the blade was cool in the beginning. But it's one of those things, and I feel like Spider-Man games fall into this. All the side quests become very dull after the first 30 minutes of doing them. The little side things, and they become redundant. They become incredibly boring. And that always made me not want to play them. I played the first 2 Assassin's Creeds. I beat them, and I was like, I never need to play this game again, because if it's anything like this, it's going to bore the shit out of me. And, thanks, Nate G, for that. Assassin's Creed San Francisco. But it's going to be like a white cis. It'll be Donald Trump running around trying. It will probably be like.
No, it's literally Assassin's Creed Shadows. That's what San Francisco is.
No, but I mean, it'll be something. They'll make like some blue-haired chick going around like assassinating Matt Walsh.
No,
like, he'll be like the big bad guy.
The most annoying thing with Ubisoft is that, they had Assassin's Creed. It was good, blew up. Everyone loved it. Everyone was like, oh, there's a mystery involved. You get to play as an assassin. That's fun. But Ubisoft obviously cannot make good 3D games. They just can't do it. It's just not a thing that they're good at. What they were good at was making good Rayman side-scrolling platforming games. Those are awesome. And those, I guarantee, cost a lot less money than Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows. And you could probably actually profit off them. So it's amazing to me why they wouldn't just stick to what they're good at instead of trying to make these huge things just to lose all their money.
The idea that Assassin's Creed was annualized to begin with or turned into a franchise, I thought that was like the biggest mistake they made. Yeah. They wanted it to be Call of Duty when Assassin's Creed doesn't offer the Call of Duty experience.
No,
it's two totally different experiences. So, I think we got too much of a good thing when it came to Assassin's Creed. I remember when they first released the first one, and it was like, "Whoa, Assassin's Creed is amazing!"
Mm-hmm. And then I was like, able to stab somebody in the neck. Like, that was fucking cool.
and then they're like, "Oh, Assassin's Creed 2," and people are like, "Okay, cool." And the third one came out, I was like, "Okay, what?" Like Assassin's Creed 3. So and it's obviously had its high marks and its low marks throughout it, but I think Assassin's Creed is a great example of too much of a good thing is a bad thing, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, and obviously with Star Wars Outlaws was like everybody saw that coming from a mile away, except the people who worked on the game. And the phrase that we've heard the last week or so, as it comes to Concord and within the video game space, and we've heard this before, but just in the last week, it's in my lexicon, it's been a lot more vibrant. Was Colin Moriarty used the phrase toxic positivity, and we've talked a lot about that on the show as well. Yeah. Like, how are these games getting made without anybody saying like, yeah, it's not a good idea. Yeah, we should probably not do that.
Because people are scared. I think I think like in any other place, and probably still at Ubisoft and a lot of these places, most of the people working on these games are probably decent, if very apolitical, just like video games, were hired to make video games, want to do their job as good as they can. And then it's the small few, it's the HR teams and a few of the people in there that are pushing a lot of the DEI woke bullshit. And they know that in a company like Ubisoft, where it's coming from the top, if you speak out, if you refuse to do something, now you're jobless. And I think one of the things that needs to be made obvious and is that speak out, because you know something, if Ubisoft, any of these companies fire you for this type of shit, that's why the internet is there. You come out, you have an army behind you of people that are going to back you, going to support you, and other companies that aren't bullshit that will probably hire you. So that's one of the things I do have to say to these people that maybe are at these companies and are scared and just want to do their jobs. And oh, it's sick. I get to work on Assassin's Creed. I played this as a kid. I want to do it now. And speak out, because you know, if Craig hears about it, he'll have you on a show for 20 minutes to talk about it 100%. And you can get it out there to, you know, thousands of people to hear your story. And then I guarantee there's game devs in Craig's audience that would sit there and go, I like this person's balls. I want to hire them and see if they're worth it. And then if you're worth it and you're good, you'll get a job.
Or we'll hire you, or we'll hire a game dev to do it. That's definitely on our list of things to do.
Yeah.
Like we 100% in time will get into video game development. 1000%.
And you talked about that since the start of Side Scrollers again, that you guys want to make a video game and things like that. So we were going to count Assassin's Creed Shadows, but now that it's pushed back till February, I guess it's not a low of the year. It's kind of like, you know,
still low, still low, because
consider it a low of the year because it's Ubisoft in general.
Yeah, I think everything that's led up to it has made it a 2025 title, which still I think still encompasses 2024, but it's splitting hairs at a certain point. So yeah, it's been 2024. I think we will look back on 2024 as a very pivotal year for video games as a whole. And it's where gamers spoke with their wallet.
You talk about the layoffs all the time. What's the number up to? Do you have that on the top of your head, or what it is about?
About 13,000 this year alone. In the last 3 years, it's been over 30,000.
That's devastating for an industry.
Yes,
it's incredible.
Think about it. People talk about like the amount of people who work at Disney World, right? It's like 55,000 people, something like that, right? Like that'd be laying off 60% of the staff at Disney World. Like that's insane to think about. That's laying off an entire small town.
That's
30, you know, like, and those people, if I was them, I'd look at it as a tremendous opportunity because it's easier to make games now. It's cheaper to make games now than it's ever been.
Yeah.
And you have an opportunity to create games in your vision. You've essentially been paid to train and learn game development from these major companies. And you can then take those skills and turn them in and become hotshot indie developer, become 100%. The flavor of the week, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So like, yeah, there's so much there. Now, real quick, we have breaking news since we are a semi-political podcast all the time. Nice. And New York City Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted on corruption charges. I don't know the exact details. I saw Truth Social. Thank you for breaking that. But yeah, I don't know what the exact charges are. If people want to go look into it and maybe throw it in the chat on what exactly it is, but I know it's corruption, and you know that's always interesting.
Wait, hold on. So you're telling me that the mayor of the biggest city in the country is corrupt to the core? That's ridiculous.
No way.
Yeah.
No, never.
No.
Never.
A politician is corrupt.
Not a stand-up person.
You know, Craig, I grew up in a time where you didn't trust any of your politicians and you thought all of them were scummy douchebags. But apparently, we're living in a time where only one is a corrupt douchebag, and that's only Donald Trump. We could trust every single other one. They're all great now. They all tell the truth. Donald Trump is the only scummy douchebag ever to run for politics.
It's true.
Wrong. He is a scummy douchebag. I don't mind Donald Trump. I'm going to vote for the man. But he's a businessman.
Yeah, I think that's the most fascinating thing about the election is like people go, like, do you like Donald Trump or do you like whoever? And it's like, it doesn't really matter. Like at a certain point, you're just like, what? Who's the least worst? Like at a certain point, because
who do I not think is going to start war and put money in my pockets?
Right. Exactly. I don't like everything that Donald Trump says. I certainly don't like the things that Harris says. I don't even know why she's running for president. I don't even know how she became a presidential nominee.
Oh, the people voted her in. What are you talking about?
That's right. What
was the phrase for Bush? Selected, not elected. It's quite literally Kamala Harris.
So, I mean, like I said, I've never been a political person ever. And people go, "Oh, Side Scrollers is super political." No, we're not. We're not political at all, right? Like we just point out the insanity in this space, right? People want to make pronouns political. It's like, no, like that's not political at all. That's you just being a jackass with a mental illness. That's
yeah.
all.
That's the thing, though, is that to the people, to basically leftists that have taken control of all these types of things and culture in every single way, they make everything political. The personal is political to them. So no matter what you do from their framing, it's political, even though, you know, we grew up at a time where doing normal shit doesn't make it political. It just means you're just being a normal man.
Yes, exactly. We have normal men, and that's the thing. There are way more normal men out there than non-normal men.
Yes.
Like we are the majority, and people don't realize. Like it goes back to what you said, Alex. People just need to talk. They need to speak out when they see this insanity. And you know, I got this guy tweeting me. He's like, "Do you ever talk to your former coworkers at Screw Attack?" I'm like, "No, I don't," because they all think that I'm psycho, right? They all hate me, and it's like, why do they hate you? Because I know what a man is. And I know what a woman is, right? Because I'm not afraid to tell a friend.
Because you watch Kindergarten Cop.
Right.
Boys have penises. Maybe, Dave, we need to clip that. That might be our first clip.
That could be a good clip.
We could just pop that up randomly.
I will say this, though, because like 100%, people should, no doubt, people should speak out, especially, you know, you grew up at a time where, you know, talking to people was just normal. Yeah. Saying any single word you knew was normal. But I feel like the Overton window has shifted on people so much culturally that even though they might still have somewhat of that mindset, they don't even necessarily think in those terms anymore. They still think in the terms of possibly offending someone. So they still fix their language up, even though they never did it before.
Right. Exactly. And I think that's the most fascinating thing about like talking to former coworkers is that I've heard them say the most god awful, insane things ever. That if they heard them, like they're such hypocrites when it comes to this. And that's the reality is like, I'm going to keep it real, y'all. And I know that keeping it real goes wrong sometimes, but at the end of the day, like, listen, I've been the same me for this entire time. And I'm not gonna fake it. I'm not faking any of this nonsense. And, so many of my former coworkers are just faking it through their teeth just to not get canceled. It's insane.
And I also think that's why like certain people like you, people from G&G and stuff like that have success is because it's easy to see that you guys aren't putting on an act. We're not putting on an act here on our show as well. Like this is who we are. We stay consistent. If we are going to make a change, there's a reason for it. We'll say why we are switching to what we believe now. We've gotten further evidence, but for the most part, you know, we're not changing and things like that. So,
and sometimes you just need to tell people to go fuck themselves. You know, it just works out. Yeah, and you just need to do it sometimes. So you know,
I am definitely aware of that. I did that recently to Dark Side Phil.
Yes, that's exactly why I brought it.
Which was a fantastic,
legendary moment.
And, you know, it's funny now too because like in current internet, that's going to be known, but it's like it will eventually go right. We'll remember it. Your fans will remember it. Back in the yesteryear in the wild, wild west of YouTube, that would have been played everywhere. And you telling DSP, especially like Screw Attack Stuttering Craig, telling Darkside Phil to go fuck himself would have been the biggest thing on YouTube forever and would still live in infamy. Because the way you deadpan delivered it too, and I knew you were being dead serious. And the thing is too, like, it's rare to see you truly get pissed off. I could tell he was getting under your skin with the bullshit he was saying.
It was, you know, the thing about Phil is that he is, he believes what he says. And like he is authentic
like him now.
Well, he is authentic to himself, 100%. And but he doesn't understand that like the bubble that he's created for himself. People talk about people living in a bubble, man. That's crazy. So, you know, the best thing to do with a guy like Phil is you just let him talk. And Phil did that for 5 hours with us the first time and then another hour the other day. Right. Yeah. And it wasn't necessarily about getting under skin, but the thing that, you know, when you question my authenticity, you question me as a person, that's when there's issues. And that's what he did. And Phil doesn't know me. He doesn't know anything about
saying
me.
That he has dirt on you that he could reveal and he's being nice, not. And it's like, you know what? Do it then. Fuck
right.
It. Like
I have nothing to hide, like nothing to hide. Yeah. You know, like I have a loving family. I love my wife. I've never cheated on my wife. I have kids that I love. You know, it's like, what could you possibly have on
you
me?
freaking canceled on us one time because you had to go coach your daughter in basketball. And I'm not holding that against you. I love that. Listen, anytime that anyone needs to cancel for me, it's to go coach their daughter in basketball. I'm fine with that. But it's like you give a shit about your kids more than, you know, coming and continuing to be on the internet. So
right. And that's the biggest thing is
yeah.
family comes first. Look, I have no doubt that that if I worked like I did when Screw Attack started, which by that I mean I wake up in the morning and I work and then I go to sleep and I finish at about 3 o'clock in the morning, right?
Jesus.
And everything in there was work, 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 work. If I did that, I have no doubt that we could have, you know, poured some rocket fuel on side scrollers at this point.
Yeah.
But it's been a steady burn, right? For side scrollers, because at a certain point in my day, it ends. When my kids come home, it ends because I take off the hat and I become dad. And that's the most important thing. So like doing things at night like this is a rarity. I don't do things outside of
this.
Oh, no, and I'm not like fishing.
No.
But what I'm saying, like, I don't like to do things in the evening because it takes away time from the most important thing in my life, which is my kids and my wife. So when I you know, so that to me will always be paramount, and that's why I will try to end my day when they get home from school. I have a few exceptions. You know, I do Tuesday nights main event on Tuesdays with G&G, but I don't stay the entire show, right? Because I guess what, I gotta go practice, I gotta go coach, right? So there's daddy duties and parent duties and husband duties that take priority over the internet right now. And while it is important to shine a light on a lot of things that we talk about on side scrollers on a day-to-day basis, you know, the most important thing to me is family. And we will, like, I am going to be hiring people to help along with side scrollers here in the next little bit, because I do think side scrollers will be much more than, you know, just a podcast. It needs to be much bigger than that to truly do what we want to do and take back the industry. Slowly but surely, but I can't do that by myself, and I will be bringing on people to help me with that. So
that is a beautiful transition to the last thing that we want to talk about, because you talked about taking back the industry, and for a while you were teasing take games back, and we want to give you a chance to talk about the Real Game Awards that you introduced, and you wanted people to become members, to put things up there to vote on, and all your categories. Talk about the Real Game Awards and what it is, why you started it, and how everyone can get involved.
Yeah, so the Real Game Awards is a necessity right now. When you look at like the Jeff Keighley's Game Award show, people don't know that when that show is voted on, it is a 90-10 split, meaning that 90% of the vote is weighted by the people that write articles about the industry that you don't like, right? That do not align with your vision. These are writers for Kotaku and Polygon and IGN who are writing all these hit pieces about, you know, this the access media. Whereas the Real Game Awards is designed simply to give gamers a voice back, and for it to be the true voice of gamers. Now, people go, why do you need to have a fee associated with it? Well, there's a few reasons why. Number one, we don't want to take any insane like corporate sponsors. Number two, we want to do a physical event. This first year, we're going to do a digital event. It'll take place in January, so it'll encompass everything from 2024. And then next year we want to do a physical event. So right now, this year, it's all about saving money so we can rent out a venue and do all the AV stuff and make it look pretty and awesome. But this year we're going to do 25 categories, 20 positive and 5 worst of.
Nice.
And because we're going to be doing some small things that I think most game award shows don't do that kind of really differentiate it. And I think what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of innovations that we do this year will be copied in the next couple of years between other award shows. We'll be the first ones to do it, and we won't get the credit for like innovating and bringing it there, but it will certainly be copied. So we're going to be doing that in January this year. And like I said, it'll be 25 awards. We're going to be announcing those 25 categories here in October coming up. And then once we announce those categories, we will then allow people to put their nominations in for said categories. And then in December, we will be voting. So so it'll line up with the final game of the year will be voted on Christmas Day.
Nice.
So the 25th category. So yes, spoilers. We will have best jiggle will definitely be a category.
Let's go.
100%. That's just something like it's gonna happen. Sorry. We will definitely have biggest failure.
Sorry about that.
Can I still put dead or alive beach volleyball? That's still allowed. Is that the current game?
Yeah, we should definitely have some sort of like retro competition, right?
Nostalgic games of best jiggle, like Mortal Kombat verse.
A legacy, yeah, for sure.
Legacy jiggle category.
Yeah.
Oh man,
legacy jiggle. So, anyways, yeah, it's needed, it's important, and I'm excited to get going with it. We're going to be, we've been kind of silent on social media, but we will 100% be doing a watch party of the actual game of Jeff Keighley's Game Awards, because it's just going to be a total shit show, and it's going to be just a big circle jerk,
100%,
which is what that is. So, anyways, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Look forward in January,
and I can't wait to compare their awards, because you probably have similar awards. I can't wait to compare their winners versus your winners, what the real gamers vote as opposed to what the Access votes is. So that's going to be interesting to see.
I think that's the biggest thing is like, it's not necessarily like Craig's award. No, it's like the gamers award show, right? Like that's the biggest thing is it doesn't matter what I think. I'm just, my job is to facilitate the conversation.
You're
that's
the vehicle.
Exactly. And so, whereas Jeff puts his emphasis on relationships with the Access media and developers and stuff.
Yep.
You will look, I know people watch award shows for premieres. We're not going to give you any premieres, right? Sorry. We're not going to give you any game trailers. Sorry. Right. We're not going to give you any stupid skits. Sorry. We're going to give you awards. Right. We're going to give you awards. We're going to tell you who won. We're going to tell you how much they won by.
Yeah, cool.
It's
perfect.
It's going to be straightforward and cut right through all the nonsense.
Where can people watch this right now? Would you have any plans on where? Is that in the coming where you're going to announce exactly where it can be watched?
It'll definitely be on the Side Scrollers channel, right? Okay. But it'll probably be on a few other places as well. I want the event to be as agnostic as possible, right? To where it can be on any channels that want to stream it, right? Perfect. So we will make it available to where
we're in.
Yeah,
we'll throw it on ours. We'll make an announcement where we're tiny, but for anyone that wants to jump on ours, we're in. We'll throw it on here as well. Make a mirror of it.
There are no broadcasting rights for the Real Game Awards. Like
no Nintendo.
No. So we're going to go in and we'll let everybody stream it. We'll let everybody make money on it. We'll let everybody get super chats from it. Whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is that it's important to kind of create something new. We do a lot of talk on Side Scrollers. I'm also big on action, and that's been the biggest thing with the show from the start. We're at a point to where we've grown we've got some momentum. Now it's time to start taking action.
So Craig, we really appreciate you coming on, giving us an hour of your time. You're awesome. Like I said, about a year and a half ago, you jumped on when we were just big fans and told us a little bit about Side Scrollers afterwards. And now to see, like I said, to see what it's become is freaking great. Everyone that is watching, go out there and go follow the Side Scrollers YouTube. Go search for it and follow them over there, because if you want best gaming news, that is where to go. Follow them on X at Side Scroller Pod. Follow them on Instagram at Side Scroller Podcast. And then go to sidescrollerspodcast.com or sidescrollers.locals.com and go become a supporter there, because that's the important spot. You will get the Golden Era documentary, a lot of the cool things they're doing there, and a lot of the side things. And also go watch a few episodes. If you like it, definitely go on Locals, because that's how they're going to keep Side Scrollers going, keep innovating, doing Real Game Awards, all that cool type of stuff. And also go follow Craig at Stuttering Craig on X. We appreciate everyone that watched, and go follow us. We're over 100 subscribers. We're looking to get to 200 now. We appreciate everyone. We had a few new subscribers today, so we appreciate all you that did.
Thank you.
And go follow us everywhere else at the Alex Cuesta Show. Craig, you have anything else before we cut out?
I love you so much.
Oh, I'm not Jake Gyllenhaal, but
wait, who is that to? Who's that to?
Anybody who's listening.
Oh, okay.
Especially Jake Gyllenhaal's abs.